I'm going to use this video to address the allegations made against me. Recently, to those who are unaware...
Ladies and gentlemen, Peak is once again back. Well, now, it's been back for a little while, but I didn't really have that much to go over and talk about with both the trailer Doubt and Proxy. But now that everything's out together, oh man, we got some lore and theories to get into today. And let's kick things off with Proxy. Now, if you're new to this channel and my breakdowns, just know I don't go over every story beat by beat. I go over the interesting bits, what I like, and add in some jokes and such. So I'm not going to go over the whole story of Proxy, just what we learn and what's cool and what we can use to help make theories about the Serverblight for the future. Alright, let's dig in! The first thing we gotta take into account is that the Serverblight can now use Steam messages. It is unclear if it can do this now at free will, or if it can only do it with someone who was using Steam messages when they were absorbed. Either way, it is a huge leap in advancement for the Blight, and something that it can probably easily use as a tool to get more players. It's also nice to note that Proxy is a prequel to Awareness, as we see that this is the soldier that was actually infected and that infected that entire server on Double Cross. So pretty cool little bit of continuity there. And a little bit of a fourth wall break, this being a creepypasta and not really a full-on animation was such a breath of fresh air for Serverblight, giving the creators a lot more freedom with the storytelling perspectives now, letting us fully see what it's like to be assimilated from an outside perspective and the fallout of what happens. We saw that in a simulation, you sort of just go limp like in a comatose state, but now we know for a fact, yes, you do go in a comatose state and you are stuck in it. And it seems it can be even fatal. Or, you know, if you're not kept on life support, you will die without being taken care of. So it's almost as if the soul is completely sucked from the body. We've known that for a while now, but still very cool to see from an outside perspective on it. And not only do we get a glimpse of what the Blight's true form, or at least an embodiment it's chosen its true form is, which is just, you know, two eyes in a black void, which is, you know, while not the most original form or horror form it could have taken, is definitely fitting for this creature and worked perfectly for it, and is always just, dude, eyeballs in a black void is always just terrifying. That's just a fact of life, little bro. But another huge thing that I loved about this is that the Serverblight saw the narrator from the screen of the computer before it blacked out and remembered him and was trying to lure him in into being blighted too. It is a sick, sadistic monster at this point, and I love it. I love how it is manipulating, and I hope we get to see more of that in the future. But as for Proxy, that's pretty much it. A very short but very well executed story that I love, and I often go back to listen to on my own volition. Alright, up next, Doubt.
Do you blame yourself?
What?
Well, it's quite common in this situation for a patient to feel a kind of guilt.
What situation?
The accident. It's very common for people to invent, blame, or create a causality when in reality, it was completely out of your control.
So, from Doubt, we don't learn too much. It more or less sets up the next episode with, you know, a little more backstory for Aaron while showing that the Blight is not as straightforward as we once thought. We see that Aaron is actively going into matches, warning people about the Blight, trying not to seem crazy at the same time though, just being like, hey, if you see anything weird, just shut off your PC. Which, I mean, maybe that confirms that will work? I don't know, but if Aaron says it, then it must be a surefire way. Unless, you know, he's just dead ass wrong. And we learn, most importantly, that the Blight can loosen its grip on people. As we see with Classic, it chose to let him go right in front of that oncoming train because it's just a massive asshole and it wanted to fuck with Aaron. And it also changes the stakes. It shows that yes, these guys are still in it, and maybe there can be a way to pull them out, though it does seem more or less the blight can just pick and choose who and when it just lets them out. This does mean, though, that in episode 3, that was Johnny Danny we heard typing in chat. That wasn't like the blight reusing lines from somewhere. No, that was Johnny just sitting in the cold, freezing to death. However, I feel like the biggest part in this chess game between Eren and the blight that the blight has made was that it willingly left the server. It didn't infect the entire thing, it just made its point and left. It is openly mocking Eren. It is just being a total asshole to him for shits and giggles. And honestly, I love it. I love that it's grown to be this more sadistic thing. That it's gone past its initial desires to just infect everyone in sight, and is now just playing with its food. Which I have more examples of in the big episode I'm about to talk to. But for right now, that's all I want to talk about with Doubt. I'll bring it up more later on as we go along, but dude, this was a great little mini episode, and I wish we got more of these throughout the series. It's just that, I guess the algorithm doesn't like shorter Serverblight videos. Oh well. And now for what we've all been waiting for, Serverblight conviction! Woo! Let's fucking go! Serverblight today! And the first thing we open up to is one of the Germans seeming to be doxing themselves. But, you know, that's pretty cool. I respect the commitment to the craft of filmmaking. But for real, it seems with Eren's immense exposure to the Serverblight, it has started to linger with him even when he's far away from his own computer, as we can see that when he looks for Matt in his own apartment, even peeking in this little keyhole, we see that, well, Matt's not there physically anymore, but something's definitely lingering along in that room.
Eren!
We find out that Matt is, yes, he too is suffering in a comatose state from the effects of the Serverblight. And Eren tries to play it cool. I mean, what is he gonna tell his friend here? Hey man, I actually know what happened to Matt. He was taken by this in-game DMV in TF2. And with no other options, Eren just goes home and tries to go looking for Matt in the game. I'm not sure what he'll do, really. I don't even think he knows what he'll do. Maybe try talking to him, convince him, see if he can pull him out of there. But the search is on. Eren is now on the attack, no longer just a defense and or a rescue.
Sayonara, bitch!
Let's not use that kind of language.
And it's here that we get to meet our first human antagonist of the series, Savior, who, if you couldn't tell by his first ever line of dialogue, is a massive dickhead, already berating someone for literally no reason just because he said bitch. I mean, come on, man. You should already know this guy's a bad guy the moment we hear that for him first. And now, Eren is on the search. He thought maybe Matt was in here, but it looks like that was just a false alarm. Or maybe he quit and moved the moment Eren was joining. But in all case scenario, he notices that while Matt's not there, the Serverblight is, and immediately tries to gun for it to get out, only stopping when he realizes there's another actual human in here. And thank God the kicking method still works, because otherwise Eren would have been screwed. Though, in an unrealistic moment, I do want to point out that if you try kicking someone in TF2, 9 times out of 10 they won't even ask why they're kicking you. They'll kick them just because it's funny. So this guy questioning it was a little out there, but you know what? I'll give it a pass. Helps build attention. Oh yeah, time to point out an editing error. Editing error that Durfish06 made. He didn't have the text saying that Aaron joined blue team or the game. Durf, you're snipping, buddy. You gotta get better. Come on, buddy. Serverblight.
Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
But for realsies, Aaron and Sayonara's close encounter with the Serverblight made Sayonara drop a huge lore nuke. He said he's seen this before. And it's finally revealed where everyone's been seeing the Serverblight, but it's not in the game. On YouTube. I want to get into more to that later, but for right now, we gotta focus on what Savior is doing and how everything isn't quite as it appears to be on first glance. Now, after Sayonara's unfortunate end, we get to hear Savior throughout the game, sort of talking like an ambiguous, disembodied voice telling Aaron to come closer. Come, you can save him and the boy. But, as we see throughout Aaron's travels, that is a load of horse crap. Savior says and tells his story how he's been in the game for possibly days now, which means he is infected. But the question still remains then, if he's infected, how come he's not like, just a mindless puppet now? And a big red flag you'll notice very on is how he describes the creatures, knowing that they're just rehearsing. He's not alarmed, he's not confused anymore, he's got Aaron on the right track to where he wants him, but now he's making it sound like this is just normal, that this is just what the Serverblight does, and that it's in a way, okay. However, the biggest flag that this is all just for show, just to fuck with Aaron, is at the moment he looks away, all of the ones that are rehearsing just stop what they're doing and are looking at him. They were putting on a show, alright. One just trying to fool Aaron to make him think that they're not as advanced as they think they are yet. And as Aaron gets deeper and deeper into the map, getting closer and closer to the final control point, maybe secretly hoping he can finally save at least one person or figure out a way to pull people out, he sees a sort of demonstration at Savior's faith and power, having players on their knees praying up to the blight. However, as Aaron, rightfully so by the way, says, "This is fucking gross, dudes, this is fucking nasty," all of them turn on him and start chasing after him in a really well animated chase scene. And as Savior yells stop, I want you guys to notice that I don't think it actually stopped because he said so. It stopped because it wants to keep putting on that show. All of this is just to be one big mind fuck for Aaron, just to really screw with his head. Stopping and not killing him? Why kill him now? That's not fun anymore. It wants to psychologically torture him. And when we see Savior, we see just how willing it is to keep the game interesting now for itself.
I didn't understand it either. At first. You have to choose to believe. And they taught me how to see. Look, I have received their blessing. I am their vessel, the mouth of God. Me.
Dude, as a Christian myself, I really hope Savior gets the Helsing Ultimate Abridged False Prophet treatment.
Stupid demon zombies! Claw me all you want! The only thing that could pierce my holy Pope box is the will of God himself! Anderson!
It is the sacred duty of the Iscariot organization to punish the demon, the heretic, and the false god. Also, you're a daft cunt.
Anderson, I don't deserve this!
Sinners will be allowed no quarter. Kill them all, and let God sort them out.
So yeah, if you haven't seen Hellsing Ultimate Abridged yet, go watch it. It is really good and the whole series is already wrapped up. But anyway, back to Serverblight. If I had to describe Savior, it would be someone who's taken their tragedy and twisted it into a blessing. Because listen, again, I'm a Christian. I believe in the big man upstairs. But sometimes bad things just happen. There's no rhyme, there's no reason. Sometimes a bad thing is just a bad thing, unfortunately. And ironically, in Savior's desperation to try to make the best of his situation, he has ended up forming and following a false god, a false prophet, and has become one himself. Believing that he has become a higher calling now, and that he is above everyone else, he is just a puppet. And as you can see, the Serverblight doesn't give two shits about him. It still physically hurts him, literally eating him alive as he talks. And it turns out Matt has been calling to Aaron this whole time, which just shows like these two have like a brotherly bond. They go further than just being best friends. These are brothers in a way. And as Savior tries to tell Aaron that he can wash him clean and bring him in, it's very clear that this is what the Blight wants. It doesn't want to beat him physically anymore. It wants to break him mentally and spiritually. And that's when Aaron does the unthinkable. He presses V.
I don't believe you.
Holy shit, Aaron got a microphone. He is now gonna have a speaking role in the series going forward. It is about time, thank God. Fun fact, Aaron and Matt are both voiced by Derfish06. I really hope that doesn't become confusing later down the line if they ever have another chat with each other again. But until then, yeah, just keep that in the back of your mind, that they couldn't afford a third voice actor. But for realsies, as Aaron gets ready to make his escape using that riding crop whip thingy, he smacks this blue sniper and he dumps into the final control point and manages to escape once again. However, if you notice carefully, as Savior goes in trying to grab him to stop him, the Heavy's mouth bites down tighter on him, keeping him in place. Once again showing that the Serverblight wants him to get away. It wants to just fuck with him and scare him, and when Savior actually does something that it doesn't like, it stops him pretty quickly and painfully. Showing that despite how much power Savior thinks he has, in reality he is still just a puppet like everyone else that's infected. And I think the second to last huge thing we learned from this episode is that when someone gets knocked into an out of bounds zone that's infected, it looks like they don't do anything. Now, we've seen this before, so it's not set in stone yet. So we're gonna have to wait and see if maybe this character comes back, if we learn more about it. But when Sayonara fell in, he didn't do anything afterwards, and he didn't infect Aaron. So it's very interesting what kind of rules are being played with here. Though, if it did work and Sayonara was able to get back to his body, I don't think we'll have the Germans just saying, "Hey, it's me, Sayonara. Aaron, look, you've saved me. You fixed it. Now we can save everyone." I think it's going to be left a little bit more ambiguous for a little while. And as for the final bombshell of news, there's another player in the mix. Sailor Man, the guy who survived at the end credits from Reflection. He's making YouTube videos and documenting the Serverblight with his own little channel. That's so fun and cool. But maybe, just maybe now, Aaron can have an ally in this fight. Someone who's willing to not just go back to the fight, but to document it and warn people despite how crazy it makes them seem. And maybe now Aaron can finally get a leg up and an advantage over the Blight. But I guess we'll have to wait till next time to find out. So, now's the part of the video where I ramble about theories for a little bit. And to be honest, I think this has finally started to answer questions and push things in a direction where we'll finally start getting answers and questions at the same time instead of just, more questions building up. There still is the big one of, if Aaron disintegrates a body, does that count as getting rid of it? I'm still up in the air about that. I don't know. But I think a big thing now is, are we going to start seeing people take advantage of the Serverblight situation epidemic to their own selfish desires and advantages, just like Savior did? By the way, shout out to Intricate Labs for voicing Savior and doing an amazing job as this cocky, egotistical religious type. He did a phenomenal job. Go check out his channel. He uploads Yeah, he uploads. I just think this is the beginning of something very special. It truly does feel like ever since Awareness, it has been a soft reboot of the series with higher quality, higher writing, higher action, just overall improvements all around. And thank you guys so much for watching my breakdown and little theories and ideas throughout the video. If you guys enjoy this, please hit that subscribe button. A lot of you guys watch these, but don't actually subscribe. I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to hit 10K by Christmas. So if you can help me reach that, appreciate it. Thank you so much and have a great day. Private Boxy, out.